when you're talking.
Okay,
So,
this is a throwback one, right? So when you talk about this Agenda 2063, you have to look at, Africa's economic profile. Now, you can look at the impact an individual can play, and so you can look at the group's impact, right? So I'm going to speak from a group impact, and then touch on the role an individual can play. And when I talk about the group, I will infuse OGI as a group, because collectively, the power that we actually possess collectively, you can't begin to quantify it against an individual power. So if you look at where Africa is today, the problem that Africa faces today that everybody keeps talking about is political issues, right? So, but when you look at political issue, you begin to extract individual, problem, because there's a saying that a social being affects social environment or dictates social environment. So, but what makes up a social being? If you look at it in reverse, then you can also say social environment affecting that social being, right? So the ailing problem in Africa today has been leadership. But you cannot also, when you're pointing fingers at leadership, you point at the people, in the bottom profile as well. So Africa's problem is reshaping Africa to achieve 2063. There has to be this self-consciousness, right? So when you bring this self-awareness or this consciousness of the need for a change, right? You also have to set an environment that also can enable that change. If you don't set the environment, you cannot change the people. Okay. So now going back to the individual side of it, the individual impact, my place, right? So education becomes key, right? And in addition to education, I have to also understand that investing in Africa or investing in her economy is not a thing of profit motive, but it has to be more of social entrepreneurship. Okay. Because so when I look at it, it's not just the fact that, hey, I want to make profit, but what I care more about is how do I contribute to the social status of Africa, for me to see what we call a sustainable development, for me to see self-reliance. So when you look at the developing countries of the world and you look at the advanced countries of the world, when you talk about advancement, there's a very strong impact when you look at that domestic strength. And when you talk about GDP, which is gross domestic product, you look at the ability for that economy to produce. Africa lacks that ability. And the reason we lack this ability is because there are social infrastructures, primary social infrastructures that are missing. So when you want to enable people